What's up, everyone? Welcome to the special Noisy Paxel podcast.
I'm so glad.
I just came up with that one.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like the thing where a friend says a joke, no one laughs, and then the friend next to him says the same joke.
And it's twice as funny.
It's twice as funny. So it wrecks the other person. I'm Azara Lopez. With me today is no other. Mark Damati.
We made it. Thank you for having me, everyone. I appreciate it.
It's been a while, though.
It has been a while. I have never left. I'm just in the shadows. But I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be setting up this podcast. I'm glad to be at a PAX East once again, because PAX West, not the same. PAX East, much better.
Oh, you think Boston's better?
I don't know about, Boston's pretty cool, but Boston's just better than Seattle.
Damn.
Boston is just nicer than Seattle.
Broad
I'm going to say it right
statement.
there. Fight me in the comments.
I'm going to say that Seattle's spread, a nice food spread of Seattle, I think it offers a better food selection for sure.
It's definitely a different culture.
Following Mark, we have Colin Buchanan.
Yes. You did it. Congratulations. I've been here 2 years. You successfully
did
pronounced
it.
my last name.
So I usually have to read.
At least mine's
the
easy.
card.
You can't fuck mine up.
And then we have Wade.
He doesn't know my last name. It's over.
Crespusculus.
He puts it in every video I have.
Capacious. Hilton.
Wade
Wade Hilton.
Crespusculus.
Wade
Hilton.
The famous one. I've always wanted to just go to a Hilton Head hotel and tell them my name and see who got fired first if I asked for a job.
And off camera, looking beautiful, but won't be on here, is our beautiful Semi.
We love you.
Looks just like his VTuber avatar. It's crazy.
What's your Twitch? We gotta drop the Twitch.
It's semi-sin.
Semi
hold on.
Sin.
It's at semi-sin.
Ooh, get the plug. All right.
Boom.
I think we should talk about PAX East experience. For me, it's been multiple PAXs that I've been to. Pretty jaded to it, I think. All in all, in terms of going to events, and it's like, oh, another event. But you gotta know that this is like you gotta keep the fun in it. Mm-hmm. Mark, are you still having fun? You came with some new gear this year.
I came to pack a punch. We have some new gear that I did do damage to, but nonetheless, it did support the camera. My face was way less sweaty this time. The masks were back.
The masks are still
Masks
here.
were back.
The masks never left.
I just think about the masks and I cry every time. It's just very difficult to work like a camera all day and then still like, I don't know, not for me. But nonetheless, that's not really the main point here. The point is, PAX East was very fun. If you follow Noisy Pixel, you know, and especially if you know me, you know I'm a huge gamer.
Huge.
If there's one
Sorry,
thing,
I had to not do a spit take.
if there's one thing you know about
Broke
Mark,
everything. Just ruin it.
there's one thing you know about
Podcast's
Mark.
over.
He is a gamer.
gamer.
I play every game I could.
Which League of Legends,
League of Legends.
Elden Ring.
Insert third game here.
He'll have to think about it.
We'll fix it in post.
Yeah, next year at the next PAX East, he'll have a third game to tell you about.
But overall, I think gamer or not, I think it's PAX East is very fun, to be honest. Like I think it's just it's kind of hard to match that energy because everyone's there. Like everyone who's there is really into what they're doing there, so it just makes for a good time. I think.
I think that's another interesting thing about just PAX in general is it does provide a nice wave of different types. You have the board game people, you have the video game people, and you have the like card collectors. Yeah.
And people that are just here for Genshin Impact.
Yeah.
Well, there is no Genshin Impact.
There were voice actors.
Yep.
Oh, okay. There's
They had 2 voice actor autograph signing in
Oh.
the panel.
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. Well, voice actors got to make money.
Yeah, like the amount of people I saw in cosplay was like 50% 14, about 45% like Genshin stuff, and then like 5% Pokemon.
I still think it's weird when people cosplay to PAX. I'm like the anti-cosplay PAXer.
There aren't that many.
There's not that many, so the ones that do stand out.
It's so weird to me having been to this is my first my first explicitly video game focused event, but I go to 6 or 7 various cons every year, and I've only seen one fursuiter the entire time we've been here out of the 40,000-50,000 some people that are here. Proportionally, it's very weird to me.
Yeah, it's not I wouldn't say it's like an anime con or anything. So when people are dressed up, I'm like, ah.
People dress up as whatever, though. I saw Doug Dimmadome, owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome, today.
You could see him from anywhere. His hat was 3 humans tall. It was crazy. How he got through anything's insane to me.
I'm sure his hat was collapsible. And
Yeah,
so,
it looked like it was.
It's funny because I don't vividly know what you're talking about, but I do know I can picture the man, the illustrated man,
Yes.
with a bunch of hats.
It's just
one
a big
really
hat.
tall
One
hat.
really big hat. It's
Fairly Odd Parents.
I think cosplay is accepted pretty much in any convention. You could expect
You can't prevent people
Yeah.
from doing it.
You put Final Fantasy 14 in any event, there's going to be a wave of
God, yeah.
cosplayers.
Well,
Genshin has the same impact.
And I would say in 2014, 2015, they didn't. No one did dress up, so it is relatively new that people cosplay at PAX. When it was happening, it was like change is weird, so everyone was like, don't cosplay at PAX. There's a very adamant group for and a very adamant group against, but now no one really cares.
Of course, back in 2014, 2015, people knew what Penny Arcade was.
I don't.
So
I know it's a comic book, so that's
it's a web comic.
You just got actually.
actually webcomic.
I'm a huge gamer.
I'm a really big gamer.
I was more into Homestar Runner, so I don't know a lot about.
I'll tell you
Penny
right
Arcade,
now,
but
I've never even seen Homestar Runner.
Homestar Runner is amazing.
This is a tangent that we
No.
Yeah,
No,
this is
when
is
people
not a problem.
when people say strong bad and stuff, it reminds me of these I had a group of Mormon friends in high school.
Oh my gosh.
And all they did
talking about a tangent.
all they did was talk about Homestar Runner and how much they loved it, and I was like, well, if these Mormon kids think Homestar Runner's cool,
No, it's honestly really good.
it's like my dad drinks Bud Light and he's not cool, so anybody who drinks Bud Light is yeah.
by association.
They must have something in common there. So, yeah, never seen any of that. So my Flash game knowledge starts and ends with Neopets, I think.
No, Newgrounds or anything?
I played the love sim games.
Oh my gosh.
Or
You just
I'm not
unlocked
shocked.
you just unlocked something in my memory.
I just wanted to see
This
some
is
anime
coming from the guy
series.
who was reading smut on the airplane as well. So, Jesus Christ.
So
Let's talk about PAX though.
I was gonna ask a question. Other than the interviews that we had, you guys do did you guys have time to try anything that was not interview related? Did you?
I tried
Did
something
did you have fun?
Oh, absolutely.
I've had an absolute blast. This is my first time getting to cover a live event like this, and I've been everything at events like this. I've been a volunteer, I've been an attendee, I've been an exhibitor. This is my first time being media, and I'm finding myself enjoying it way more than I even thought I was going to. And I didn't think I was going to have a bad time going into it, but it's been really exciting just getting to talk to people that are super passionate about the thing that they're doing.
I think that's the most important part too. Is when those conversations, you live in your town, you have your same group of friends, you have your same community around you, but then you go to these events and you're seeing the other side of it, the people that do create those things and their passion kind of. I don't know. You get energy through it. I don't know if it's you're hyped because they're hyped.
Yeah,
type
no,
of thing.
absolutely.
It's definitely a skill, not a skill that all people have, because usually people are they're very focused on the one things that they like about games and they don't want to drift too far out of that. But we have the benefit of we have the opportunity to cover all games, and so yeah, this game doesn't look like it's something I would like, but I'm gonna try it. Oh shit, I like it. You know, it happens so much on the show floor of this, but. I guess is there a game that kind of stood out to you guys
Oh, hell.
in terms of let's just talk about a game.
Fuck. being my first PAX and actually my first con in like 10 years, like legitimately I haven't been to a con in 10 years. Not only did I go into something just recreationally and then I just started talking to the devs and now it's a thing I'm going to write about. Game that stood out. I can't talk about it because like they didn't even like display it. It was specifically for me.
Yeah, we've
And
played.
it's called I Doesn't Exist, and it's one of the most. It was from Dread XP.
Okay.
It's not on the show floor. It was just in this little back room behind a curtain on a laptop.
Is it embargoed?
They were just like, "Here's this game."
No
It's
NDAs
coming
were
out."
signed.
If the audio cut right there, you'll
Yeah,
know.
Yeah.
Just know well, I doesn't exist, but the game does,
Oh.
and it started the trend of me playing a game for someone I had an appointment for, and the game bugging out and not working. That happened at Pizza Possum. That happened at I Doesn't Exist. Doomblade, which is very clichédly name, like Doomblade. But like I think it kind of controls like the best I've seen at the like the best experience control wise. Graphically, it's similar to like Hollow Knight with like the darker aesthetic, but later areas I saw through the demo like had a lot of color to them, so that kind of stood out. There's a lot. This podcast would go on for like 5 hours.
I've gotten two of them that like super duper stood out to me and that I'm super excited to follow up on. One of them was Whitethorn Games was Mythwrecked, which was one that I was assigned. It wasn't one that I went after, but it was one that like the PR director that was there was super excited to talk to me about, and I ended up falling absolutely in love with like the entire aesthetic and vibe of this game, which I gave her the elevator pitch of what if Percy Jackson was a cozy game, and she was like, I'm stealing that. that's mine now. I'm gonna pretend I came up with that.
I think you've generated more taglines for companies
I have.
in the week you've
This
been
is
here
true.
than they've come up with in like pitch meetings.
But it's like a weirdly like soothing experience for being like a methodical, like goal-oriented game, because like you're on a picturesque island full of like strange things happening, but it's like weirdly serene the entire time, and I just loved like the game from like the concept and the themes fit together so well. So it's about a girl who washes up on an island and discovers that the island's populated by Greek gods who don't remember that they're gods anymore. So they just live like normal crazy people. And you have to like become friends with them in order to find out how to escape the island. And you do like favors and stuff for them, and you give them
What kind of favors?
Food.
No, this is going to decide whether he buys it. What kind of favors?
Well, it's just like, so the first one you meet is her. I'm trying to like actually. You want me to make a dirty joke, and I don't know how to make a dirty, because the game's like it's
Keeping
kind
it
of
on
like
brand.
that, but it's not like that.
The bird husbando game. What's that called? I can't remember
The pigeon game.
pigeon game.
Hatoful Boyfriend.
Hatoful Boyfriend. Yes.
Is any bathing suit DLC?
I don't know. There's a couple characters that are already pretty scantily clad in it, but I don't
I'm
know
into
if
it.
they're your kind
I
of
mean, they're
characters.
Greek gods also.
Yes.
So
They're-
like,
I will say that the offering of anime games was kind of low this year. There wasn't a lot of AAA publishers there. Square Enix wasn't there.
I mean-
Nintendo was barely there.
it's kind of weird that Square Enix had like such a big event.
They sponsored
presence, but-
the hell out of it, but they didn't put a booth
Yeah,
down.
like
yeah,
every
the
single
official lanyards are them.
Fantasy 16. And they have like probably the biggest panel of the day today, and yet they don't actually have like because they're all their eggs are in one basket, and it's a game that is not publicly playable yet. So that kind of makes sense, because they don't want to promote anything except for 16 right now, but the demo hasn't come out yet. So
And it won't until 2 weeks before launch.
yep.
Did you play anything?
I didn't play anything, but if I had to say, I don't even remember the name of the game. But if the one thing stood out, it was something at Devolver where you had to kick everything. That just looked so
Angerfoot.
silly.
That's
It just
Angerfoot,
looks
yeah.
it just stood out to me. I don't know. We filmed a little bit of it.
I liked Angerfoot. I actually covered it when they announced it in the Devolver E3 showcase last year. Which, by the way, those are the kings of marketing right there. Like they know exactly how to do what they're doing. It's so good.
They are not the kings of letting media talk to them about their games.
Really?
We're not gonna spill
I
that
tried
much tea.
so
That's
hard
too
to
much
talk to them
tea.
about Terranil, and no one wanted to talk to me about
Oh, God.
Terranil.
Well, that is actually a niche game, and we have to understand that the people that kind of booth these events aren't always
Devs or even know what they're
yeah,
boothing.
they're hired to man the booth,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to tell people, yeah, you can't stand there, you know, move this way. Yeah, events are kind of tricky. This one should always have PR people around to talk on games, I feel, but sometimes you'll go up to a booth and they're like, yeah, I'm just doing this for a friend.
Yeah, there wasn't any. I feel like there was just not anything other than Final Fantasy that just like was part of this event. Like last time we went to PAX East all together, we had Squish, we had Fall Guys.
Was that the last? That
was like 3 years ago, but we were
Yeah.
all together at that point. But I'm just or the PAX
It
West.
was it was right after COVID. It was the PAX West right after COVID. It was like
I'm
2
just
years.
yeah,
ago.
like there wasn't any major indie game where everyone was online for this time. You know,
Yeah.
like all I saw people waiting for was a fast Pokemon demo. It's like how long do you wait for a 10-minute Pokemon?
Well,
demo?
they get
It's
a
the
Pokemon-
same game
they get
every
a,
time.
They get a pin or something if they
Pokemon pin
a Pokemon pin if you or Pokemon card or something.
might be worth it.
Yeah, you get it to sell. I didn't see any games that really stood out to me. I maybe Trinity Trigger was pretty cool. It was a lot cooler.
That looks very fun.
A lot cooler than I thought it was gonna be. I was a little excited for Loop 8, but it wasn't. You know, some people got them, and some people don't. And if Loop 8 doesn't get a goddamn sprint button, well, that's 2 points down. 2 points down. It's such a nuanced battle system too. It's one of those ones where it's a turn based and you don't command your two party members. They just kind of do their own thing. I'm not about that. I need more than one skill, and I need to control my healer.
So you're saying you're like a skill tree kind of guy.
I'm a skill boy. Definitely am.
How do you feel about Diablo?
I played Diablo.
Diablo, yeah.
Diablo.
Is that Diablo but with like?
Just Azario's failure to pronounce it.
That's
Yeah,
just how I pronounce it.
I just
When I was a kid,
saying it like that just
when I
makes
was
me
a
think of
kid,
dialysis.
when I rented Diablo from Blockbuster. On
Blackbuster, yeah.
From Blockbuster. From Blockbuster.
I got Diablo from Blackbuster out here. We're from Boston.
Oh, that's why I call it Diablo. He's going to Blackbuster.
And cancel.
We're from Boston.
I'm out.
Yeah, so I don't know. When I rented it, I was like 9-10 years old, and so I just said, "Oh, it's Diablo."
And it just was
It just
Diablo
stuck.
since then.
It's just stuck. It's just stuck.
It's just not the same if it's not.
It's like I say Tifa and not Tifa because they didn't have voiceover, so I just read it.
Oh yeah, I still in my head have to correct myself to say Titus because that's not how his name is pronounced in my head. But you
Yeah.
had to play an entire
Game saying Titus.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's two games all about him, and they don't say his name once. Not a single
Because you
time.
can name him. in
Yeah,
the beginning of
and that's
10.
why they never did that again.
Until Bravely Default 2, where Seth, you can name him, and it was Bravely Default, so I was expecting them to do something really fucky with the fact that you could name him and it'd be this like big twist. No, you can just name him, and they go, "Hey you" for the entire fucking game. It's like, I hate that shit.
I always just wish that like they would at least like record the lines of dialogue with the default name and then one that's just like him, he, like just so if you do just give your character the name that they're expected to have, it's not so
like
off-putting.
it sets a flag.
Yeah. It's,
But yeah, I also played Moonlight Pulse, which
I've been talking about that all weekend.
not all weekend. I talked about it the day I did it, and then I got distracted by shit like Doomblade. But Moonlight Pulse is like, it was in the PAX Rising grouping of demos, and it was pretty good. I made a comment, and I think the dev's gonna actually like do what I suggested. There's this like warp section where you're going through a wall and it's just black. And I'm like, it'd be really funny if you just like put a fossil or something in there, like something goofy, like no impact on the game or anything at all, just a little bit of set dressing to make it a little. He's like, yeah, you're right. That's a really boring part. I could put a little bit of like glamour there just for funsies, something to look at while you're going through this wall.
He's gonna have to put you in the credits.
Do it.
We're gonna put it on. We're gonna put it on
Do it.
Twitter if he doesn't.
It'd be the first time I'm in a game's credits.
I think the best way to get in games credits nowadays.
Just kickstart it.
Yeah, let's go to Kickstarter.
Just buy a Kickstarter and you're in the credits.
Buy a Kickstarter.
Start a Kickstarter
purchase
and then
it
you are the
entirely.
credits.
Purchase the entire.
I was
Kickstarter.
going around shopping Arm Fantasia and Penny Blood to publishers today. I was like, hey, you heard of Arm Fantasia? Why don't you be their publisher? And everyone said,
Is
I
that
heard about it.
You told me not to buy them if we wanted to cover them.
For Arm Fantasia?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't buy them. Or don't kickstart them. You can't kickstart something.
How is that different from you literally going around and doing PR for?
Well, that's not buying. That's
I'm not
selling.
buying. I want anybody but 505 games on
You know
it.
what? That's fair.
I think I should have
Point
started.
seated. I shouldn't have said anything.
Yeah, I want anyone but
You
505
are
games.
correct. You are objectively correct.
Not that 505 Games is a bad publisher, but
Backpedaling a little bit.
they're. I mean, they did Death Stranding, they did Bloodstained, and I mean those are fine.
I
games.
need to get back to Bloodstain. I played Curse of the Moon. And I started some. Was it the Metroidvania one? All I can remember is Curse of the Moon.
That's Curse of the Moon, I think.
Curse of the
No,
Moon's
like
the old
spin-off.
school Castlevania.
Oh, okay. So Ritual.
Ritual of the Night. Thank you. As soon as you started R,
Um,
it was there.
Bloodstained's like the game that never ends because once you beat it, there's tons of DLC.
Was that the new Street Fighter there? Is there a new Street Fighter?
There's a new
Oh yeah,
Street Fighter
they
6.
did show off. They had this little like impromptu tournament thing going on. It looks like a Street Fighter game. It looks like it does good.
I'm so hyped for it.
I thought it was funny that they were talking about frame data in the middle of a presentation.
That's what everyone was there for. They're there for the frame data talk, and they're there for the frames
Yeah.
and the pizza.
Was there pizza there?
Did
or are you
anyone-
just talking about the pizza you just bought?
No,
Did anyone get to try the gamer beer, or whatever that weird beer
Oh,
is?
the Voodoo Ranger
Yeah.
one.
There was like a whole like drink session
You know-
going on
you
outside
know-
the side
You know
of it.
how expensive those beers
Yeah,
are.
it's like
Yeah.
$15.
Voodoo
Yeah.
Ranger, yeah.
And they'll just like chill there all day long and drink together, and then they start
Yeah.
singing songs.
The Voodoo Ranger boys.
yeah, like we see
girls.
them setting up at like whatever the fuck in the morning when we get there, and then by the time we're like going up to the media room, they're like just completely sloshed and just like having a grand old time. I'm like, they have to like get new employees like every day, because if not, like they'd leave with drinking problems. Like go to an event, leave with therapy needed.
Unless they already have, that's they walked in with already.
Oh, you know, or, yeah,
Problems.
save money on employees. Just get the already troubled ones that can hold their beer, I guess.
Are we going to talk about Final Fantasy, or are we just going to go right over it?
I
And
mean-
pretend like it didn't happen.
You saw gameplay.
I did go to
Yep.
the event, the streamed event. If you saw it,
Both of
I
us
was
did.
there.
The allegedly streamed event.
This was the
lagged.
first time you saw Final Fantasy 16.
That is true. I played literally never played any Final Fantasy in my life. So
Who's your favorite Final Fantasy character?
Clyde, dude.
I fucking love Clyde.
That's not even
I
his
would-
name. Is the
I
best
would
part.
fucking,
What's his
His name is Clive.
Oh,
no, dude, love Clyde.
should have just said Cloud.
I love.
I mean, yeah.
I love Clyde, dude.
No, what you should have said is just Sid.
if
Like
there's-
there's
Oh, yeah.
30 of them.
If there's any character,
Name 5 Final Fantasy characters.
Sid. No, just Sid.
That's my fault. I should have made that harder.
if there's any character that I want you to enjoy,
It's Clyde.
it's Clyde.
Clyde.
Yeah,
Oh,
To be fair, there is a Clyde in
Is
Final
there?
Fantasy VI.
actually,
There is a Clyde. I won't say who he is.
Final Fantasy 6,
But Final
Scene
Fantasy
7,
6 has a Clyde.
hour 8.
see, like these Final Fantasies look more up my alley. I don't think I would ever.
Man, that makes me hate it, dude.
I don't think
You
I'd
just
ever dabble.
ruined Final Fantasy 16 for me.
and that's all
I
Azario
like
lives for these
turn-based
days.
games, but like I don't think Final Fantasy is for me.
Keep
okay,
doing it.
it's
Maybe
not for you.
Well, like this new stuff seems cool, but like it's very
Just
very
say that you
Chad.
don't like it.
It's just very Chad.
Just say you
Continue
don't like
ruining it for him so I can review it.
I don't know if I don't. I don't know if I don't.
If you play Final Fantasy 16 and you like it, I will by default
I'll probably like it.
not like it.
I probably will like it. So you won't like it.
You're just gonna do that. You're just gonna do that in spite of me.
I mean, I just like slasher-esque games, like the action-y part of it. Like, and that was the more intriguing thing to me. I didn't like how you can dumb the game down. I don't know if we could talk about that.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
There's accessories you can
it's not-
equip.
Like the point of that isn't really to necessarily dumb the game down. It's their version of accessibility settings,
Yeah.
which that they have caught some flack for because only being able to equip 3 accessories means like if you need more than that, you literally can't do it.
It's like
Everyone's a critic.
it's like for the people that
I
are
mean, everyone at
questioning
this table is.
like questioning the action of this game. You know what I mean? I feel like because it didn't always. Final Fantasy always wasn't this like over the shoulder action slasher game. You know what I mean? That's what it seems like right now. Like,
Yeah, I think they're trying to get away from turn-based. I think that's the great thing about Square Enix and the Final Fantasy series is that they tend to leave things to other developers, other teams. They did pixel art with, Dragon Quest with Enix and early Final Fantasies. They did pixel art really well. People still continued pixel art, but they moved on to polygons. They did polygons really well. Everyone else took on polygons.
Yeah.
They did 3D, and the only thing that they didn't do that a lot of games did before was like voiceover. Like there was nothing
But
until
there's
Final
so much
Fantasy
there's
10.
so much dialogue in like all of those older
Yeah,
games.
but a lot
that
of
it would be...
a lot of RPGs. It was bad. There was bad dubbing, but there was PlayStation 1 games that did have dubbing. That
Sure.
Was, yeah, that was like,
Passable, yeah.
yeah. It was just but anyway, I think like Capcom with the survival horror genre, these developers are pretty much pushed to be creative. They're not trying to they're in the business of evolution of being the next wave of JRPGs. They're not trying to stay in the past where everyone else is like, okay.
Well,
But I think-
like Square Enix itself has two polar opposites at that principle, because you have Final Fantasy, which is different every single game. It always tries to evolve its system, and then you have Dragon Quest, which, unless rumors are true, has been turn-based forever, aside from swords.
Yeah,
and warriors.
Well,
or
but like
heroes or
no, that
whatever.
like the main games have
Yeah,
always
the main
been,
games have always
like that's
been.
like the entire reason why the games are the way that they are is because they're trying to continue to hew
Yeah.
as closely as possible
Yeah,
to
There is an uncomfortable
They-
rumor going around that 12 is going to be more action-based.
And if it is, it is.
It
you
is.
know,
I
but
mean-
they did. I feel like Dragon Quest does do their best to stay on Dragon
Loyal
Quest
to
brand.
Dragon Quest. I mean, they use the same old sound effects, the same old jingles. Like they are so rooted in what they are, and that's a good thing because people with nostalgia for like Dragon Quest 3, which it still holds up and is coming out again. Like people with that nostalgia can still experience that nostalgia even with 11. Because it feels exactly like Dragon Quest. It looks beautiful, new fresh coat of paint on it. Some mechanics are more up to date with like skill trees and things like that, but it's still Dragon Quest. You could play 11 and be able to go back and play 3 and almost miss nothing.
Yeah, and so I guess back to Final Fantasy, the way that 16's being presented, and I'm okay with the action of it all. I'm okay with the taking it back to a fantasy setting. I think that's what's most important is that it's giving a little bit for everybody. I feel like every fan, it's like, okay, we know we need to evolve this series. What do we do? You know?
well, because like thing that I distinctly remember is every single time you boot up Final Fantasy 15, it gives you a splash screen that says a Final Fantasy for fans and newcomers, and it's like, okay, but it also is like one of the more confused entries across the entire series, and it's like a weird half measure step that I don't know that I would say this is going to be accessible to people that have never played these games and have no investment in them. This looks like, oh, this is like straightforward enough that I could see someone that's never touched a Final Fantasy game looking at it and being like, yeah, that looks freaking sick. I would totally be down with that. Especially given like the very like almost like, you know, heavy metal art direction that a lot of like the animations and stuff have, where like it's all very like exaggerated effects that are meant to like catch the eye almost. It is very Devil May Cry in that too.
We're talking about Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was your general reaction when you saw gameplay?
When I saw the gameplay, I mean, I was really excited, and I've already been on this train because I'm a noted stan of the team that makes this game, because I their last title I literally gave a 10 out of 10, but I was honestly pretty thrilled just because I've always been here for the series evolving, like, because the thing is, if we go back in time to like the ATV combat and such, like they did that once with Final Fantasy 13, and at the time people were like, this kind of sucks. I don't know why they did it like this. Like, just make it an action game. And now they made it an action game. And they're like, this sucks. I don't know why they don't just make it turn-based again. It's
old fans are never going to be happy.
No, they're
never ever.
I'm much more interested in like a series like this trying to evolve, especially when, again, you have something that is staying comfortably the same and maintaining the same level of quality doing it. I'd rather see this like keep going forward and into new and interesting directions, especially the way that Yoshida puts it, where like he really wanted to challenge his team to make a kind of game that they've never made before, and it looks like they got all the right people to do it. And
Vagrant Stories creative director, the combat director from DMC, like it's an all-star cast. Like the dev team in 16 is actually legendary in every way, shape, and form.
And I grew up with these games. Like a formative memory for me is my dad playing Final Fantasy VIII in front of me and me watching him fight the T-Rex R in the training center and be like, this looks freaking dope. I want to play this.
I learned how to read from Final Fantasy IV when I was 4 years old. Like this, as literally barely able to speak or spell or anything, playing Final Fantasy first, I love where it's going. I love the aesthetic of the characters, how realistic it is. Because the thing that gets me with all these remasters and everything coming out, Metroid Prime is a pretty good example, and 16 now, not exactly being a remaster, of course, but it's how I always pictured it in my head. It always looked that good in my memories. And now it actually does look that good.
Technology is crazy nowadays.
Like in my head and playing 6, 7, 8, 9, I always in my head pictured it going like 16 looks. And now 16 just fucking looks that way.
We don't have to have like separate models for cutscenes and like it can all just be one.
I'll definitely wait. I think it looks pretty, but I'm not gonna say that just because Yoshi pees on it, it's gonna be phenomenal.
That's fair. Like that's my real dad. You don't have to. You don't
I'm
have
not
to,
gonna say
you don't
that.
have to like him the way I like him.
I think I need a Final Fantasy adventure to feel like a Final Fantasy adventure. In many regards, I feel sometimes when I played Final Fantasy 15 that at times it does feel like a Final Fantasy.
I agree.
Yeah, it feels like I'm having a party, or I'm with people that it's a bro. It's a bro.
This is going to become a 15 thing.
Well, I mean, I have like probably a whole essay in me on like the reasons why I like 15 and why I like don't necessarily agree with a lot of the widely held, like, not necessarily criticisms, but like assumptions about it.
I think to its faults, I think it does feel like a Final Fantasy game though. And I think I guess that's what I automatically look for is, does this game feel like a Final Fantasy game? And I think that goes to the writing. A lot has to, if it sucks, it sucks. You know, if the story, if you don't like the characters, you don't like the characters. And I think that's important. I didn't like Noctis at first, but he did grow on me then in terms of how that adventure evolved. But
I have a hot take, I guess, on games to spice up this conversation and derail it a little bit. Do you think that these publishers or developers, whatever word you want to use, feel pressure to put out games that have open world characteristics?
Oh, absolutely, because all the top sellers now are open world games.
Yeah,
I
I don't
disagree.
like that.
Yeah, I would
Some of
disagree.
the most critical thing, like when 15 as an example, was when it was first released, everyone was
That was
panning it.
6 years ago now? 5 years ago?
2015.
Yeah.
That was 8 years
wow.
ago.
Fuck. Okay. Anyway.
15?
Yeah.
That was 17 or 16 or 17.
Whatever. It's still a long time ago. I'm gonna say.
Yeah, it was a while ago, but it was also part of the trend.
But there was a such thing as open world fatigue, and then after that, I think they kind of drifted away from the open worldness. I think the last real one that I enjoyed was like Valhalla, Assassin's Creed. But other than that, like
Just tired of hearing the word, you know what I mean? Like, oh, it's
because
open
everyone
world.
asks about it. Everyone asks about
well,
it.
they ask if it's open world, I guess, but I like the semi open world kind of like the layout, because I feel like they just fill that space with things to do, and I'm not
Like you have your little town, you know what I mean?
I guess that was my problem with like one of the recent games I reviewed, Tachia, where the world was a little too big and she didn't run that fast, so like you'll be running for a while, like just looking for an animal to possess. Tachia's a vibe, all right. So
I believe I haven't gotten to play it yet because it came out like
While
a
we were
week,
here.
a week before we got here. But I feel like at the time, like in the middle of the 7th generation, like open world was finally more possible than it had ever been before, and suddenly that was when like I think a lot of people playing AAA games like suddenly expected that out of their games, as if that was like an objectively better way of designing things than the linear games that we had in the past. And that was one of the things that everybody was pissed off about with Final Fantasy 13, is it's very much not open world. It is the exact opposite. And people were like, this feels so dated, it's a hallway. And it's like, okay, what do you think Final Fantasy X is? Because Final Fantasy X is also a straight line forward for most
Jesus.
of it.
Oh my God. I wanted to slap the shit out of so many people. Final Fantasy X is the best. Why is 13 such garbage? Like, it's the same fucking game. It's the same game.
So, like, I feel like nowadays...
I don't advise harm against anybody.
Nowadays, I don't think that it's quite as much of a pressure, because I think that a lot of us got so tired of the Ubisoftification of video games, where...
They take it and they churn it out as quickly as possible and just make an engine that does exactly this every single time.
Mm-hmm. And I like, there are games that have gotten it right in the time since then. Like, I think Horizon Zero Dawn is a really good example of like taking familiar open world concepts and putting a new spin on them. Like, we have the radio towers, but these are ones where you have to like solve a puzzle and climb on top of a giant moving dinosaur thing in order to like, and that made it like novel and new again. Or there's games like the Yakuza series where like they are technically open world, but they're like so much smaller scale, but they're so much more densely packed than any other open world that exists. And it's like, now we have other things that we can compare any of these like giant open spaces to, and not every publisher can live up to that. So I think a lot more of them are going back to, linear experiences, which is a good thing.
The trait about both Horizon, because I just recently played Zero Dawn, and Yakuza, is the fact that no matter where you look, there's shit to do.
Yeah.
And then so many early and even a few current open world games have a bunch of empty fucking space, whereas nothing's happening. It's just a plane for you to get from A to B, and it's like, that's boring as hell. If it looks pretty, it looks pretty, but I could just go look at a fucking painting, or I could Google a pretty painting online. Like, it's not hard for me to find visually pleasing things. Give me stuff to do in this giant open world you created.
Pleasing.
Well, and I think that like even Ubisoft themselves have started to realize that, like you mentioned Valhalla a minute ago, like Valhalla is very different from the previous two games in the series in the way that it handles all of its side content, because you come across it like much more organically than you did before, and there's a lot less of it that's just like strictly copy pasted, stuff over a wide environment, which is really impressive given how much content is in that game, but it feels much more immersive and handmade than all the other Ubisoft games that just pelt you with distractions all the time.
I was able to do a panel at PAX, and I don't think they knew what I bring. Like, they know I can talk, but they don't know that like my humor. Oh. And I did drop Bathing Suit DLC at least once.
Yes.
I slipped it in there.
You did.
I said anime girls.
You were on brand.
I said anime girls like 2 or 3 times, and I could tell there was other media people with me, but I could tell them like kind of flinch when I did it.
Like, oh no, here it
Kind
comes.
of look around the room if I was getting tweeted at or something.
The first time you mentioned it, everyone laughed.
Okay.
Yeah, the whole room laughed. The second or third, like when you mentioned Ryza, no one laughed, but like I think they were understood.
That might have been a bit too niche.
No, well, I think I explained that pretty well in the fact that I can't speak for an artist. I'm not an artist, so I had to dig somewhere. And her thing was like, the question was, is how do I approach how do I know something's working and how do I keep doing that? Well, it's just going to take what we told her was, or what Z told her, director at Serenity Forge, told us, you just got to keep doing. You just got to keep creating. Maybe something that you created 6 times ago will catch on. Maybe the next thing that you create will catch on, but you just got to keep creating. And my thing was that I know nothing about art again, so I have to say like, oh, I interviewed the Ryza character designer. He doesn't like drawing girly things or frills or anything, so he changed the skirt to shorts. And it's like that changed the series forever.
Oh yeah, I did.
That got so many people, and he didn't know that. He didn't tell himself, oh, I'm going to put shorts on this girl, and now everything's going to change. So it's just interesting like that. You just got to keep creating. And I think
you don't need to like match what's demanded. You need to match what you are comfortable with.
Yes. So
you're gonna make a shit piece of work if you're going to try to bend it to something you're not comfortable making or don't want to make.
I feel like a lot of people make something they don't want to make. It's called having a job.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean that's fine, but in the case of the guy who made the art for Ryza, he changed it to something he's comfortable doing and working with, and it improved the end product for better or for worse. But like you can do your job in a way you're comfortable.
I mean, that also depends on whether you have the power to do that. Because if you're not the art director, and the art director tells you to put a frilly skirt on this girl, you're gonna do it, or you're gonna lose your job.
Yeah, that's development. That's definitely development. But I thought it was an interesting question, and an interesting panel. We'll have some coverage of it, I'm guessing.
Yeah, just some. Just a little.
Maybe one or
little
two.
bit.
Maybe one or 2 minutes.
Yeah, max.
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 2 minutes and 15 seconds worth of PAX content. No more than
Oh,
that.
PAX in general.
Oh, is that
Including
not what
this
we're talking about? Oh, in this podcast?
Including this podcast.
Oh, the podcast?
This
Nah,
is
we'll
gonna
have
get
the whole
edited down to a
podcast.
minute.
He blew through the battery the first day on the camera, but you're only getting 2 minutes and 15 seconds. of
Oh,
it.
yeah, we're plugged in now. Don't worry. And then we cut all of the podcast down to 2 minutes.
What's funny is this video isn't actually going to be in it. This audio is, and he's just going to overlay actual PAX footage over it.
Yeah.
Fuck our
Just
faces.
overlay anime girls. That's it.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
put us all in animations, and I want to be a. Make me cute.
Yeah, what
I
is it?
want to see a supercut of every time he said bathing suit DLC.
Like he gets a supercut. Like
Yeah,
he
he
gets a
get-
haircut.
That's supercuts.
Yeah, at supercuts.
Wait, hang on. I can't tell if you actually don't know what a supercut is, or
I have no idea what a supercut is.
Yeah, I didn't learn that.
Montage.
I didn't learn that in film school.
well, so
I didn't go to film school.
So a supercut would be if you took all of the footage that you shot and you clipped out all the parts where Azario says bathing suit DLC and you just lay them end to end. So it's just like bathing suit DLC, bathing suit DLC, bathing suit DLC, bathing suit DLC. Like that's a supercut.
Oh,
We'll see about that.
like a little compilation.
gonna go
but
get a
in
haircut.
Style. If you're
I
wondering,
got one before I came here.
If you're wondering what we're drinking, it's
Oh, yeah.
coffee
It's coffee.
with
Coffee,
creamer,
what
but
they're drinking.
There's a little bit
that
of.
does a little bit of
wanna
gentleman's
sleep
jack
tonight.
in
A
there.
little
And I recommend if you take any type of whiskey or dark liquor, I guess, mix it in with the creamer. It works pretty well.
Mix
For-
it.
for
mix
sem-
it while you're mixing. Like.
Just mix it in. Just
Yeah,
get
you
it
don't
in
have to
there.
use a spoon.
No, it's just like you
It's a
put
swirl.
you put
Swirl
the
it.
jack, whatever liquor, in the creamer, so the creamer becomes like it's like alcohol creamer. You know how they have different flavors. Like you're just creating a new flavor.
They
That's
have
what
at
you're
least
doing.
1 or 2 different flavors.
They have many flavors.
Ooh, I want to.
You don't drink enough coffee to know how many flavors they have.
Well, I'll tell you a little bit about coffee.
This podcast is about cocktails now.
I'll tell you a little bit about.
For the semi-sin
Coffee.
fans in the video comments right now, he has migrated to the floor and is playing Pokemon.
What were you saying about coffee?
Coffee?
I don't usually put creamer in my coffee.
You drink it black?
Drink it black. It tastes like dirt, but it's something that you get used to, I think.
Black's not terrible, but like I don't enjoy it. You know, I can drink it, but I don't
you want to
enjoy
your
it.
coffee. I get it. You want to have fun.
I don't want to drink too much creamer
Some of
though.
us
Like
don't
that's
have-
unhealthy.
Some of us don't have time to have fun.
Coffee's not necessarily for fun. I feel it inside me when I wake up. I'm like, I need it.
If you put sugar in your coffee, you are trying to have fun. You're trying to get silly.
I don't like the sugar packets.
You're trying to get silly.
I like it just a little creamer. You know, it's like just a little bit. That's all you need.
Well,
I'm a
so coffee.
I'm a Starbucks
AW,
refresher
baby.
kind of gay.
Well, I think that based on the context of this conversation, I think we're wrapping up here.
Yeah, I think so.
So just want to say thank you all for doing this podcast. I
And-
put all these mics on these stands. I'm glad we can
Actually
use
use
them
them.
for the
Yeah,
first time.
absolutely.
At least once
there'll be another time.
until Mark moves to California.
Maybe like a vacation home or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
One
treat
day.
Treat it like your timeshare.
Yeah, I'll just timeshare in Azario's Mark Shack. He likes to say.
It's called the Fuck Palace.
The Mark's Fuck Palace Shack.
It's called the Noisy Pixel
I
Fuck
have
Palace.
I have an ultra wide monitor in the corners just so it fits in the corner properly, and then I cram up.
RGB.
on
I
the-
stand with Victor that you guys would not
RGB?
survive as roommates.
RGB.
I think we could get it done. Maybe we
Yeah.
hate each other, but we can get it done.
I think those arguments are important.
I think any conversation is important.
Love.
I think
Love.
one of you would.
The
convince
next
him.
live
I give it
podcast
2
will be their
months.
marriage.
Love.
Love backwards is evil.
Ooh, take that.
Take that noisy.
Take that
pixel.
hate out there. Take that all you haters
This
out there.
conversation has become completely incoherent.
Yeah, all you haters
Thank
out
you
there.
for joining us for our PAX East 2023 podcast.
Noisy
We're-
Paxel podcast.
Noisy Paxel podcast where we talk about coffee, bathing suit DLC, and Final Fantasy for probably too long.
You can pet the dog.
You can pet the dog.
Is that
You can
the-
pet the Torgal.
Is that what it's called?
The dog is named Torgal, but
his
yes,
name?
you can pet the dog.
Oh my
The
god,
Torgal?
this nerdiness is
No.
fucking.
It's the
killing
name
me
of the.
right now.
All
right.
the name
That
of
was
the
the name of the
panel.
Nerdiness is
All
putting
right.
me to sleep.
That's
spent
it.
the
That's it,
entire-
You
everybody.
run a gaming review
You guys, everyone have a great
website.
night or day or morning.
I love you all.
Have a good night.
Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time.
Noisy Pixel.